But Sri mentioned automotive, Geely, China, and Proton, and this is something that JP and I have been talking about a lot as well. EVs. I remember the last time we sat down and talked with your Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim. He was talking about his plans or his ambitions for pushing Malaysia into EVs to potentially even rival what Indonesia is already doing. What are plans? How are things going on that front?
Yes, well, we started this conversation by talking about semiconductor, and you also mentioned about where most of that part also goes to a car, right? In fact, today, initially it was like 5,000, but a few years ago, a normal car in terms of semiconductors, in terms of chips in a car, today it's up to 15,000 for EVs, right? So Malaysia is there in that supply chain, and so I think that's why we want to take advantage of that. I mean, there are many EV makers in the world today that procure components from Malaysia in the billions. So we want, and they also want to realign the supply chain to ensure that security of supply chain, resiliency of the supply chain is there. So they are coming closer to Malaysia, and we are inviting many EV makers to come. It's basically this iPad of mine here. It's on four wheels, right?
The most recent one, and the most high profile, obviously, is Tesla, right? They actually beat Indonesia to the punch because they said, look, we're going into Malaysia first, although it's just so far sales, right? But obviously the hope further down the line is I guess, further vertical integration.
Yes, yes.
What are you talking to Tesla about, right? Is the end game ultimately a gigafactory?
The end game
is it assembly or what is it with Tesla?
Yes. First of all, we're not in competition directly with Singapore, Indonesia, because there will be positive spillover. We've seen the FDI coming to this region up by 5% a year ago, although the global FDI has been down 12%. And therefore, for Tesla, it's definitely moving up the entire chain. They're starting to roll out the charging. They're one of the major charging stations in Malaysia. They're one of the biggest rolling out the DC charging. Also sharing with some technology. And of course, like I mentioned, hinted to you on the procurement side of some of the largest companies in Malaysia are now supplying to them. And the end result, the end game, as you correctly said, is of course one day we hope the likes of Tesla, the rest of them comes and build their bigger gigafactory or assembly in the country.